How you two buddies? I am Sean Stoger and this is Crazy Native Philosophy. I am excited to get started today because this is my very first video and it's called Why I Made This Channel. So one day I was scrolling YouTube and I came across a Wallace Black Elk video. Now I met Wallace twice in my life. Once I traveled to Minneapolis to meet Wallace and so I spoke to him for a brief period of time there, and then I traveled across country and met him at his home in Denver. And while I was I said maybe 10 words to him, and he spoke to me for 8 hours straight. So when I came across this video, I was very thankful that it was like I got the opportunity to learn from him again. So I imagined one of my grandsons in the future wanting to learn about their culture and traditional ways and native philosophy, and being very thankful that I took the time to make this channel. So if you are one of the people that are listed below, then by the end of this video you will see that I made this channel specifically for you. And if I've known you personally, then you will see it's my sincerest wish to honor you with this channel. Wamani Omani Amachi Apelo. That means my name is Whirlwind. I am of Lakota and German descent, and I will get into my personal background in the third video in this series. I have served the 12 tribal nations of my state for almost 20 years, and I've trained most of my life under a variety of elders, clan leaders, mentors, and medicine men. Today we're going to look at the 5 motivations that drive me to do what I do and inspired me to make this channel. So, let's jump into it. My very first why is that next generation. So all too often I hear my generation criticize the next generation. And I believe my generation is incredibly wrong about young people today. I work in academia and I see that next generation as being brilliant, insightful, open, sensitive, and caring. Right? I was invited to a professor's class. I work on 2 separate universities, and I was invited to this professor's class on the main university. And the day I showed up, he had seven students were there that day, and he asked the students, "What does it mean to be indigenous to a place?" And the students went around the room and answered that question. And then when he asked me what I thought, and I was so blown away by these students' answers that I said, I have 7 teachers in this room right now. And I am so humbled by all of your responses. They literally blew my mind. So a few weeks later, I went to a Native Healer and Nursing Conference in Milwaukee. And a friend of mine was the first speaker of the day. But after he was done, they brought on a panel of kids from Minneapolis. And this panel, I thought, really represented Indian country today. So there were kids who looked classically Native. There were kids who looked Hispanic. There were kids who looked African American. There were kids who looked Caucasian. There were kids who looked LGBTQ. There were kids who looked Asian. There were kids who looked like they were from South America. And to me, that's what Indian country looks like today. So these kids answered all these really tough questions on identity and culture and how hard it was for them to connect, and also the pushback and the difficulties they faced with people that would challenge them on their identities based on their appearance and things like that. And I was so inspired by these kids. And then, like I stated, I work in academia, and I work with both Native and non-Native students every day on both the University of Wisconsin, Baraboo, and Platteville campuses. And daily I fight for these young ones to give them the best tools for the battles that they have coming up in their lives. And not just, technical skills and help them to get their degrees, but life skills. I see the next generation and people in my generation as desperate to leave behind the soulless existence that life has become since industrialization. and to reconnect with things that breathe life back into us. Now, mainstream society is really set up for the kids who are the honor student or the star athlete or the kid who comes from the stable six-figure income home. But what if you don't come from this? Many kids are raised by a single parent or foster parents or raised by their relatives. Some grow up in poverty or with addiction and abuse in their home. And maybe you feel like you were unsupported or have no role models or mentors to look up to or teach you things. Or maybe you are searching for your identity or connection to culture. And maybe you don't know where you belong or you feel like you really don't fit in anywhere. Well, today, when you graduate high school, American society, the way it's set up is they basically just say, we're done with you, right? And at 18, from then on, it's basically trial and error. So when you turn 18 and you graduate high school, there's basically this expectation that you will know what you want to do for the rest of your entire life. And you will know how to behave as a healthy and functional human being, and you will know how to live a meaningful and fulfilling life. But we all know this is a completely unrealistic expectation to put on our mainstream education to teach our kids this, as well as giving them the skills training to make them ready for the workforce. Is it any wonder that the next generation, 100% of the next generation, is predicted to be on medication for mental health issues? Now, in traditional societies, you would have been taught from birth what is expected of you as a human being. All the adults around you would have mostly been your family and your extended family, and they would have modeled this ideal behavior. When you became a woman or a man, you would have went through a womanhood or a manhood ceremony. And the elders of your tribe and your clan would have come together and they would have instructed you in skills, expectations, values, and qualities needed to be a good person amongst your people. And throughout your life, you would have had mentors and teachers and guides and traditions that would have helped you to live a life or live in a good, healthy, and balanced life. Until the day that you became an elder yourself and you could pass on wisdom and power to the next generation. But I'll let you in on a secret that even when you become an elder, you still go to your elders all the time and ask them for help and advice. So unlike today, in traditional societies, your clan and your tribe are never done with you. Throughout your entire life, you were never living alone through trial and error. You would have always been supported. You would have been independent, completely independent, but you would have always been surrounded by a community of family with rich traditions and mentoring. And yes, life was not perfect. Historically, we still had war and crime and starvation and natural disasters. And that's just part of the human experience. But Native people experienced these things to such a lesser degree than we do today. If I had to define what separates our modern day high-tech society from traditional tribal societies, I would say that we knew how to live. We knew how to live with ourselves. We knew how to live with each other. We knew how to live with the earth around us. And we knew how to live with the great mysteries of the cosmos. When I look around at our world right now, at the world that you will be inheriting, I see a world that's completely out of balance. I see people that have forgotten how to live. And that is why I'm making this channel for you. I was literally 10 videos deep until I turned around and redid all of it, starting right here. I'm going all in on this channel because of you, the next generation, and the battles that you will face. So hopefully in everything that follows, you will find some tools and maybe a little wisdom to help you live a better life and to go out and win some of those future battles. Now, my second why is for veterans, active duty military, first responders, medical personnel, and their families. I've served in these career fields, and I know firsthand the issues that are faced, the pressures, the challenges, and the lack of support. More so, I know no matter how hard we try to shield our families, we always end up bringing our jobs home. Our families end up serving alongside of us. The issues we face in a protector career field is unlike anything else. The people outside just don't understand what we go through. They don't see the sides of life that we see. We all come face to face with the horrors that are reality, and we see the worst sides of humanity. These things we carry inside us forever, and it can be a debilitating weight on our soul. The way that Native people used to restore balance and lift that weight off of us was through ceremonies. Now, I'm not here to teach veterans and first responders and medical staff and their family how to be Native, and I'm definitely not here to sell ceremonies. This is crazy Native philosophy, and that means we're here to talk about ideas and ways of looking at things. And hopefully that'll help you to restore balance in your life and give you strength and lift some of that weight off your shoulders. Probably the thing that helped me heal those internal wounds and lift that weight the most was listening to medicine men and going through sweat lodge ceremonies. But right now there's a lot of BS out there. There are fakes and frauds and egomaniacs and wannabe cult leaders and people wanting to be in the spotlight, or they're looking to make money. In future videos, I will talk about ways that you can find a good ceremony leader who may be willing to work with you. And for women warriors, I know sometimes you'd like to connect specifically with a woman who runs ceremonies. So I will address that in the future as well. So even with ceremonies and elders and mentors and medicine men, for me that wasn't enough. I still needed counseling beyond all that. And for years, I denied it. I refused to go to counseling, and I tried to tough guy my way through it until I was seeing a psychotherapist and dating a psychotherapist. And one day in her living room, she said, "You have post-traumatic stress disorder, and this is why." And everything she said was so specific to me, there was no arguing it. So the very next day, I got on a city bus to go to work, and right there was a sign for the vet center, and it said, "It takes the strength of a warrior to ask for help." And if that wasn't both literally and figuratively a sign, I think about that statement almost every single day. It takes the strength of a warrior to ask for help. So hopefully this channel will help you. But when I started going to the vet center, I wished I had gone years earlier. So if you're suffering in silence, you're hurting yourself, you're compromising your operational effectiveness, and you're putting your team at risk. But your family is also paying the price for that. So stop being so selfish and get your ass into counseling. It may take time to find a good ceremony leader who will be willing to work with you, but nothing beats someone who's right next door. So connect to those local assets immediately. You owe it to yourself, you owe it to your loved ones, and you owe it to all the people you serve. It takes the strength of a warrior to ask for help. And I am here for you too, brothers and sisters. Whew. Okay, my third why is disconnected natives. So I see Indian country as this beautiful bowl that helped us sustain life. And when colonization happened, that bowl was dropped and it shattered. So now natives are trying to grab every little piece they can and piece that together so we can have something to get a little bit of that life back. So every day I work with young natives, and most of the time they are disconnected sons and daughters from disconnected parents. And many of those disconnected parents come from disconnected grandparents. And that's okay. I mean, it totally sucks, but you should not feel bad for being disconnected. We are all trying to get back what was taken from us. I have known adults who are 100% native from one tribe enrolled, dark skinned, and cut off from birth. But yet they fight tooth and nail to get back their language, their culture, and their traditional ways. I've known other natives who are dark skinned, 100% born and raised on a reservation, and they had culture and ceremonies and language in their backyard, and yet they've done nothing to connect with it. We are all disconnected natives, and we all suffer from having that bowl shattered. The only thing stopping you from getting those pieces of that bowl back is you. You don't have to go deep in the woods or in some desert or on some mountaintop and find some medicine man or woman to teach you the mysteries of the universe. Learn about it however you can, and never let someone else make you feel bad for trying to reconnect. I know a tribal chairman who started out by learning his language on CDs, and now he's one of the best speakers in his tribe. So do whatever it takes to reconnect to yourself, to other people, to the earth around you, and to the cosmos. The only thing stopping you is you. It doesn't matter if you are off res or on res, we are all disconnected. And hopefully this channel will provide you with ways to reconnect with some of those missing pieces. Now my fourth why is for academics and non-natives. So there are daily I come up against this, right? There are so many misconceptions out there about Native people. From the Bering Strait land bridge BS to linguistic colonial terms like primitive or Stone Age. Many academics and non-natives have a lens or a European lens that they view all things indigenous through, right? And I compare this to reading comic books. So when I was a kid, I used to read a lot of comic books. And so if you put on some red lens sunglasses and you look down at these comic books, sometimes a lot of that red stuff just disappears. So hopefully this channel will help you take off those glasses and you will be able to see things that you haven't seen before. There are many people who are genuinely curious and want to learn, and not from a dry, boring, scholastic approach, but from a lived experience. Others want to understand Native people and understand Native ways better so they can live their lives better and in a more healthy way. And we're not talking about cultural appropriation here. We're talking Native philosophy, which means thoughts, ideas, values, and ways of looking at things. So if you turn on the news or you walk into any city, I think it's very easy to see where Eurocentric philosophy has gotten us. Right, right now, our country is pretty much divided 50-50, but 100% agrees that our country is jacked up. In fact, almost 100% agrees that our entire world is jacked up. So when I was really young, an elder said that our traditional ways would one day save the world. And when I was young, I also thought that meant, we'd all go back to using hand drills or living in wigwams or teepees or hogans or long houses. But now that I get older, I think that means Native philosophy. So we have 8 billion people, or 8 billion human beings on the planet, but I see very few people being human. I think we need Native philosophy now more than ever. So my fifth why is to honor the people that helped get me here. I hope this channel honors my ancestors, my grandparents and family, my mom, who was my greatest teacher, friend, and supporter. My mentors and advisors, in particular, Wallace Black Elk, who is Chichangu Lakota, Rick Cliff, who's a Assiniboine and Nakota, Robert Lujan, who's Lipan Apache, Randy Talmadge, who is from the Ho-Chunk Nation, Ron Anderson from the Ho-Chunk Nation, Pat Mayotte, who is Bad River Ojibwe, and Woody Kipp, who is Pikuni Blackfoot. I hope to honor the 12 tribal nations of Wisconsin and the Great Lakes Intertribal Council. I've worked and tried to serve the Great Lakes Intertribal Council to the best of my ability. They have sacrificed and worked so hard for Natives over the years. In particular, Shannon Holsey, Tallahassee Hill, John Greendeer, Wilford Cleveland, Gary Besaw, Mike Wiggins, Rick Peterson, Robert Blanchard, Gus Frank, Ned Daniels, Joe Wildcat. Also, Chris Caldwell of College of Menominee Nation and Russell Swagger of Lakudere Oralis Ojibwe University. I hope to honor Linda Dunbar in Camp Benassi. Linda set up Camp Benassi when her son was killed in action in Syria in 2018. John Dunbar was a CAG or Delta Force operator. And Linda set up Camp Benassi for veterans and Gold Star families as a nonprofit. So I hope to honor you, Linda, and John with this channel. Sorry, okay. I hope to honor all the tribal veteran color guards of Wisconsin. You guys have lifted me up many times when I was down. And the 83 of my closest friends in the county and tribal veteran service officers of Wisconsin and the Wisconsin Department of Veterans Affairs, in particular the VORP program, which stands for Veteran Outreach and Recovery Program. They are the first line veterans who meet our most at-risk veterans and help them. Shout out to you, Mark and Cal. There are way too many people to name that I have lived with and worked with and served with. I love you all with all my heart. And I hope when I kick the bucket, you can say your tribe is a little bit better off because I helped you out. Okay. If you need anything, hit me up. I hope to honor all the remarkable NCOs and officers that helped train me and lead me, and all the soldiers that I served with, which are way, way too many to name. Also, the law enforcement officers who were in my department, in particular Sergeant LaFleur, Tommy Towell, Donardo Jenkins, and Mike Hunley, and all my boys from Puerto Rico. It seemed like half of Puerto Rico served in my department, and I would rate the lowest one as outstanding. They were phenomenal police officers. So one day I will take you guys up on your offer, and I will come to Puerto Rico and visit. All the other people I worked with in security, investigations, and intelligence career fields, it was my honor to work alongside of you, and hopefully I will do you honor with this channel. And of course, if you need anything, I'm only a phone call away. You are always in my heart and in my prayers. So I'd like to also thank the UW Baraboo maintenance staff, Jim Bell and Tyler Good, who in their off hours gave me a little bit of help to get this off the ground. And they helped put up this luxurious, crazy native philosophy studio that you see here. It's totally rezzed out if you can see behind the scenes, but they did help me with a few little things to get it off the ground. So, and last but not least, I want to give a shout out to the seed for this channel, which was Ryan Lonergan and the Frag Out podcast. Ryan created the Frag Out podcast for veterans. He wanted me on there for a couple of years, and finally I was on there. I knew he really didn't want to talk about my military career. He wanted to talk about Native stuff, so he only asked me about a fraction of my military time. But he was totally open and honest and sincere and truthfully ignorant and genuinely wanting to know more. So I super appreciated that, and that got my mind spinning about making this channel. So if you end up liking this channel, please thank Ryan and support the Frag Out podcast. And if you hate this channel, Ryan said you can stop by his house and talk to him directly, day or night. He doesn't care. 2 a.m., that's totally fine. I'm just kidding. Much love, and Wopilatanka, Ryan. Ho, Mataki, I say.